Hello. It's me again. I'm going to react today to Jordan Peterson. He's a clinical psychologist, and I'm a current graduate student in psychology. And so I've read some of his books, 12 Rules. I've read that one. That's a really good one. And I've kind of researched some of his opinions on a lot of things, and a lot of things I agree with him on. So this video posted, and I was like, you know what? Let me shoot a reaction video to it and see if I agree to this one. He has a lot of good ideas when it comes to psychology and development and the way that people develop themselves based on habits and routines and that kind of thing. And he just does a really good job of like explaining why certain habits, certain modes of thinking is destructive. So without further ado, I'm just gonna get into it.
Today's video is brought to you by Audible.
Sacrifice. You get to pick your damn sacrifice. That's all. You don't get to not make one. So you're sacrificial whether you want to be or not. This is the Peter Pan story, roughly speaking. Peter Pan is this magical boy. Pan is the god of everything, roughly speaking, right? And so it's not an accident that he has the name Pan. And he's the boy that won't grow up. And he's magical. Well, that's because children are magical. They can be anything. They're nothing but potential. And Peter Pan doesn't want to give that up. Why? Well, he's got some adults around him, but the main adult is Captain Hook. Well, who the hell wants to grow up to be Captain Hook? First of all, you've got a hook. Second, you're a tyrant. And third, you're chased by the dragon of chaos with a clock in its stomach, right? The crocodile. It's already got a piece of you. Well, that's what happens when you get older. Time has already got a piece of you. And eventually, it's got a taste for you. And eventually, it's going to eat you. And so Hook is so traumatized by that he can't help but be a tyrant. And then Peter Pan looks at traumatized Hook and says, well, no, I'm not sacrificing my childhood for that. So that's fine, except he ends up king of the Lost Boys. In Neverland, well, Neverland doesn't exist, and who the hell wants to be king of the Lost Boys? And he also sacrifices the possibility to have a real relationship with a woman, because that's Wendy, right? And she's kind of conservative, middle-class, London-dwelling girl. She wants to grow up and have kids and have a life. She accepts her mortality. She accepts her maturity. Peter Pan has to content himself with Tinkerbell. She doesn't even exist. She's like the fairy of porn. She doesn't exist. She's the substitute for the real thing. And so, but the dichotomy that you're talking about is very tricky because there's a sacrificial element in maturation, right? You have to sacrifice the pluripotentiality of childhood for the actuality of a frame. And the question is, well, why would you do that? Well, one reason is it happens to you whether you do it or not. You can either choose your damn limitation, or you can let it take you unaware when you're 30, or even worse, when you're 40. And then that is not a happy day. I see people like this, and I think it's more and more common in our culture because people can put off maturity without suffering an immediate penalty. But all that happens is the penalty accrues. And then when it finally hits, it just wallops you. Because when you're 25, you can be an idiot. It's no problem. Even when you're out in a job search, it's like, well, you don't have any experience and you're kind of clueless. It's, yeah, you're young. It's no problem. That's what young people are like, but they're full of potential. Okay, well, now you're the same person at 30. It's like people aren't so thrilled about you at that point. It's like, what the hell have you been doing for the last 10 years? Well, I'm just as clueless as I was when I was 22. Yeah, but you're not 22. You're an old infant.
And do better.
Right? And that's an ugly thing, an old infant.
But I've never thought about it in terms of Peter Pan and
part of the reason you choose your damn sacrifice, because the sacrifice is inevitable.
Yeah.
But at least you get to choose it. And then there's something that's even more complex than that in some sense, is that The problem with being a child is that all you are is potential, and it's really low resolution. You could be anything, but you're not anything.
Damn,
so then you go and
deep.
you adopt an apprenticeship.
You can be anything, but you're really not anything,
speaking.
which is, oh,
and then you
shit.
become, at least you become
this nigga's
something.
talking truth right now. Holy fuck. Yo, this nigga is speaking. This nigga is... He's talking right now. He's really saying a lot of truth. Wow. I didn't think about it that way. Potential. Wow, because when you're a kid, all your potential is up there. Like, you're soaking up everything. You're a sponge. And then your potential grows lower because you're aging. And based on whether or not you've gained skills throughout your time, when you were more of a sponge and you were able to kind of pick up a whole bunch of stuff and learn and grow and mature and all this other kind of stuff. Wow, I didn't think about it that way. This dude's blowing my mind right now.
When you're something, that makes the world open up to you again. You know, like if you're a really good plumber, then you end up being far more than a plumber, right? You end up being a good employer. Not that plumbers, I'm not putting plumbers down. It's like more power to plumbers. They've saved more lives than doctors. So, hygiene, right? So, you know, if you're a really good plumber, well, then you have some employees, you run a business, you train some other people, you enlarge their lives, you're kind of a pillar of the community. Is
the way that you can stop because I believe in what he's saying, that potential goes down as you get older, but is there a way that you can kind of reverse that potential and the potential grows with age? I think if there is, it's by gaining more skills, and it's by like the chart that I'm looking at right now. It says you can be anything, and then back down here, like a baby can be nothing. But yeah, okay, so that's what he's saying right here. With apprenticeship, you grow more, and your skill takes you higher to new potential. Okay, so that's what he's saying. All right, I see it. So he's saying like your skill heightens your potential. And you do that by job training. You do that by, oh my God, I see a red robin. Oh, red robins. You know, you kind of have to like respect it. It's a Michigan bird. But your potential can become greater when you've gone through training, when you've matured, when you've thought deeply about the things that you've learned, when you apply that to your life. When you teach others, sometimes gaining more skill can be in teaching others. Yo, this dude, man. This dude. This guy is like, he's intelligent. He's intelligent. I've been considering whether or not to get my PhD in clinical psychology or get a PsyD. I'm pretty sure he has a PhD. I love it. I love the fact that you can learn so much about the human need for resistance to growth by not maturing. Like, I don't know why that is. Like, I grew up that way though. I grew up wanting to get better and better and better. Maybe that's because I'm a Virgo. Maybe that's because I've seen other people throughout my culture and throughout my life waste their potential. And so that's made me want to do better constantly. But I guess that's that. I mean, I guess it really depends on the individual at the end of the day. Like, it depends on the individual. But geesh, man, he's really talking right now. Like, he's really saying a lot. And it's so simple. And that's how you know that he knows what he's talking about. When someone can explain what they're saying in a simplistic way that people just understand it. And if you can explain, I think somebody said this, but if you can explain something in a way that a 5-year-old could understand it, then you know that you have gained true knowledge of it. And he definitely explained it to me. I'm not saying I'm a 5-year-old, but sometimes I'm just continue the video.
Family, you can, once you pass through that narrow training period, which narrows you and constricts you and develops you at the same time, then you can come out the other end with a bunch of new possibility
Possibilities.
at hand.
Potential becomes possibilities.
And Jung talked about that. He thought that the proper
Carl Jung.
the proper path of development in the last half of life was to rediscover the child that you left behind as you were apprenticing. And so then you get to be something and regain that potential at the same time. Very, very smart. Well, he was very, very smart. So that's
Carl
very
Jung
wise.
was very smart. Carl Jung.
Very wise thing to know. Sacrifice. You get to pick your damn sacrifice. That's all. You don't get to not make one.
You don't get to not make one.
You're sacrificial
Ooh, I like that
whether
last
you
part.
want to be or
Because
not.
you have to sacrifice something.
That's a good thing to know as well.
For success, to keep climbing towards success. You can't cross the ocean unless you are willing to lose sight of the shore. And sometimes that can be really, really scary.
If you want to hear more insights from Dr. Jordan Peterson, we highly recommend checking out.
Yeah, I read that book. Being at home and allowing your family to take care of you for the rest of your life, that is safety. That is the shore. Because that's surety and that's certainty in and of itself. Unless you have people in your life that are like not enablers and going to kick you out and say you need to do something else, whether it's getting a job, getting a trade, or gaining a trade, or going to school or joining the army or something like that, then you know you're going to be enabled by people who just want to fix you and take care of you. See, I am kind of a fixer, but I understand that the only way for someone to be fixed is to fix themselves. They know their mechanisms better than I do. You know? It's crazy. Crazy. Great video. Alright, so I just reacted to Jordan Peterson. Best advice to young adults. Yeah, like I said, I agree with a lot of the things that he says. So I'm gonna end it there, and damn, that's something to think about. I'm still thinking about that video. Like, that's really something to think about. Like, what do you consider success? Because first you have to consider what your success is, and then you have to go out and try to obtain it. Alright, I don't want this video to run longer than it needs to. So, comment, like, sub, and tell me if you want me to react to more videos. Comment down below. I will be reading comments. I always do. So comment down below if you want me to react to a certain kind of video. I also do a lot of army videos as well, so feel free to recommend those. I love doing those. And I'll hit you up next time. Until then, be safe.